We want to say thank you to our sponsors, Watchman Cigars, 1812 Barbecue, Blue Collar Cycle Shop, Hook, Line, and Heroes, and a shout out to States Vegas Radio. Without you guys, this episode would not be possible. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Southern Fried Philosophy Podcast, where it's our take on life, liberty, and the pursuit of gravy, while you, the listener, are getting a degree in common sense. We are broadcasting from the Blue Collar Cycle Studio right here in beautiful, rainy Concord, North Carolina. We've got a great show lined up for you, as always. But before we begin, let me introduce you to the starting lineup. To my left, your right on the radio dial is producer Bryant.
Hey, guys.
I, of course, be your host, Biggun, and how about you? And across the way is the pride of Anderson, South Carolina. You may know him as the Silver Tongue One, 2016's honorable mention Puxatawny Phil Impersonator of the Month, the inventor of the redneck egg roll. Give it up on old mic number one. It's Mojo! How about you, buddy?
I was going to bring the redneck egg rolls in today, but everybody's on a diet, so we'll have to wait.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call our friend Jim Harold from the Paranormal Podcast,
right.
where he talks about like cryptids, you know, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, those things. Paranormal. And I'm going to see if we could get the elusive redneck egg roll listed as a cryptid food item.
I think we could. Then we can have like redneck egg roll weekends where people from all over the country come together to talk about their experiences.
But here's the deal. They'd show up and there would be no redneck egg rolls. We're like, what are we talking about? Nobody's ever had these things.
Where did the redneck egg roll touch you at? Just show us on this egg roll. So Jesus and his 12 disciples walk into a bar. Jesus walks up to the bar. Bartender says, bartender, I need 13 waters. Turns around, looks at his disciples and winks. You don't get it?
No, I got you. Because you're going to make it into wine.
Yeah, geez.
But wouldn't it
Jesus is a cheapskate. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh.
13. They're free waters. Yeah, let's dissect this joke real quick.
But
It'll make it better.
Why is he not walking into a wine, like a wine place?
Thanks for listening to the show, guys. Check out our website at southernfriedphilosophy.com. You have our playable links there, all of our show notes. When we have interviews, we have all their social media material there on our show notes. You can also go to our Facebook page, Southern Fried Philosophy, is where we like to connect. We'd like to welcome all our new social media follows on Facebook. We really appreciate you guys checking us out there. Wherever you listen to your podcast, just go there, hit subscribe. So Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Play, wherever. Just go there, hit subscribe, like, review, share your favorite episodes. We really appreciate that. You can also find us on the Instagrams and Twitter at SFP Radio, and also our Patreon link at Patreon.com/SFP Radio.
We want to say shout out to our newest Patreon, SFP Insider, Leanne Whitley. Thank you so much for signing up. We appreciate it. And if you want to also support the show, check us out at the link that's on our website. Click the little Patreon button, and you yourself can be an SFP Insider. We will be we'll be recording an SFP Insider coming up here shortly, so you can have that fun, unedited content.
Watch you crawl into your armpit and try to hide.
We want to say a shout out to our listeners from Raleigh, Richmond, and Roanoke. This episode brought to you by the letter R, also known as the Pirates. I'm going to ask you like I ask you
all
every week.
All our jokes are just falling flat
It's a good night, guys.
Well, I'm going to ask you like I ask you every week. Mojo, how you be darn?
I think I'm good. If you live anywhere basically east of the Mississippi, you pretty much have rain all week for the next 14 days, I think. That's what they're calling for. Is something crazy. We had the first time ever I've seen them close down a school due to high winds and rain in our area, but it looks like it was pretty much a pretty good call considering we had a couple tornadoes touch down.
Yeah. So did they call off school in your district?
No, up in Salisbury where the shop is.
Yeah,
Wow.
Rowan County closed some schools. I think Mooresville closed some schools.
All right, we're gonna have to talk about this.
Yeah, So my notes
Okay.
here.
All right.
So anyway, so obviously that a lot of rain does not lend good selling weather for motorcycles.
Yes,
Sure.
yeah.
Now maybe if I had paddle boats or jet skis,
There you go.
that would work out. But hey, it's nature.
Hey, buddy. Producer Brian, bring us in. What are we talking about?
Oh, I'm doing good. So speaking of this weather today, I was working from home, so I decided to turn the TV on to watch the festivities. It's kind of fun watching the weather people. Like this is their show now.
Oh man,
there's no soap operas. There's no was it Kelly Ripa on the TV or anything like that. It's I don't know whoever the guys are. I don't know.
No.
I haven't seen that show in a decade. But so it's the weather guy. It's all the weather people.
Yeah,
and they're like,
gear up.
They're clicking their buttons and they're talking the whole time. It's just real. Then the actual tornado warning hits.
Yeah,
and they're visibly freaking out. This is like the most exciting thing in the world for a weather guy, because the rest of the time it's just like you get 30 seconds of airtime, right? And there's like 3 of them at one time. They're all, there's 2. They switch to the other guy. And they're asking, you get to watch them make the sausage on TV there a little bit. It's fascinating. But the school closing. So I'm watching the coverage, and they some school in Rowan County closed, but they didn't actually release the students because of the tornado warning. So there's like 200 parents in the parking lot, and the kids are good. They're in the cinder block building, right?
Yep.
So if a tornado rolls through there, the old foster system is going to have some more work for it, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I guess all the parents would have been wiped away.
I just got that joke.
What joke?
You said the foster
The
care.
12 disciples one? Oh, no.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of orphan kids.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
it.
Guys, I was that parent. Our stupid charter school, Cabarrus Charter, and I'm calling them out by name, decided it is too dangerous for the kids to remain in a brick building.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we're going to have to shut down this school, probably one of the safest places in Cabarrus County, and have you guys drive over
in the wind
and the rain to pick them up. But alas, it's lightning, so we can't have people out there in the car ride.
You hold an umbrella out in the parking lot with lightning, right? Yeah.
To scan when the kids can be released. So as I'm making my way, which is normally about a 15 to 20 minute journey to get to the school, it's now pushing 25, 30 because of the rain, the flooding on the roads. Like, it's bad. Like, I'm like, whatever. Normally, I'm just like, I'll just go pick him up. It was really bad. So halfway there, I get there, and they're like, oh, by the way, it's going to be delayed. What? So I get there. I'm in the carpool lane, right? There's cars in front of me. There's cars behind me. There's nowhere I can go. If I all of a sudden see a tornado cross,
is there a ditch
over the hill,
you could crawl into?
I'm going to have to go to the ditch.
Okay.
But what moron decides, hey, this is a good idea. Let's get all the parents out here. We're closing the school. The after school care isn't going to pick them up. Who made that stupid decision? It has got me so livid.
What's great is, like CMS in Charlotte, they did not make that decision.
Right.
And people are mad about that.
I think
they
it's where
kept
most of the
kids in the
tornadoes
schools.
actually touched down was in
Like,
Mack County.
It was Gaston, like Belmont. I think there was one in Belmont, Kings Mountain, just right outside. Matthews. They had the south. So they were all over. But for me, I mean, that brick building, I'd rather my kid be in there than in my stick house.
Sure.
But also, the concern is, what about the kids who can't get picked up because a parent is at work and their daycare ride gets canceled?
Yeah.
Yeah, their shuttle bus or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the... I mean, granted, I want my kid with me. If something's going to happen like that, I want them with me because I don't want a teacher to have to be responsible for my kid along with the 19 others. So I prefer that kid to be with me. But also, I mean, you got to feel about, like I said, like, what if four of those kids, parents can't get out of class or can't get out of work to come get their kids? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Keep those? Just put those kids outside? I mean,
Yeah.
give them a life jacket and an umbrella? I mean, what are you going to do?
Straight up, because it was we got the 52 tornado warnings on our phone, just blaring.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, around 11:30, we get a phone call from the school at 11:45. Pick up your kid by 12:30. This tornado's not rolling through until 12:15. What are you supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, y'all, you give me no warning, and you're closing it down. So
yeah,
I'm pretty livid at this point.
Sure, that's what's great about public schools. They move real slow on that stuff. So speaking, of the weather thing, last week it snowed like for an hour, maybe.
Right.
It was 36 degrees outside, but it snowed. So my wife said there was a line of people picking up their kids from school because it snowed.
Yeah.
Like it didn't like.
It was a wet snow and it never would have stuck.
There was no chance of sticking.
Yeah, there's no imminent danger of anything.
Yeah, that to me that was even more ridiculous. Just hearing that, I was like, really, just constant stream of.
Well, they probably picked the kids up and then went to the grocery store.
Get the eggs.
Oh yeah, you get the milk and bread and
eggs,
whiskey.
Yeah. So, well, we've talked about on the show how we're trying to do better. Right. I decide I'm going to do something that I haven't done in quite a while. Is I'm going to join a gym. So I made the hardest decision, and the hardest part, what I think is calling the gym to book the appointment to look at it. That's, to me, is the hardest part.
You made the appointment. I guess they do that. Yeah.
It's a partial commitment.
No, that's full commitment for me. Let's be clear.
What if you didn't like the gym?
Well, then I wouldn't go back.
Oh, okay.
But I made the appointment. And that is a victory. Guys.
Yeah, well,
that's huge.
There you go. Was it I think I posted it on our Facebooks, day one, drove by the gym.
Right. So I decided, all right, let's get the fam. We're going to go check out this gym. I'm feeling pumped up. I pull in, and it's the sports center here in Concord. Have you guys been to the sports center?
I've driven by.
I
did day one.
Good job. Yeah, I would think when you walk in, that would be the
just
theme
do that,
song,
right? Yeah,
not.
Copyright. Yeah.
So I pull up, and I'm like, all right, let's head on in. And then I look, it sits atop this giant hill with numerous stairs. It's raining, but in my head, I feel like I've been going to the gym for about a year and a half. I'm ready to tackle these stairs. Here we go. The little 8-year-old decides he's going to, jump up these stairs. We're going to race.
2 at a time, right?
Yeah, 2 at a time. Yeah. Because he's excited. He wants to go check this place out. I'm like, oh, hey, buddy, there's some stairs, but I've got this. So we say, hey, let's race. He goes, all right. So, I hold on to the pole, get ready to roll. I jump out of my starting gate and fell flat on my face on step number 2, mind you. Biggun going down the stairs, that's not good. Falling up the stairs. But I went down and, hey, buddy, that hurt.
At least you had an excuse. We got a do-over. Do-over later on, I recover. I threw a hammy.
Yeah. I'm down for a month, pulled a ACL, whatnot. So we tour the gym. He's all in love. Every day since then, he's wanting to go back. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and join the gym. We're going to do it. We're going to make the commitment. Here's our money, whatnot. Great. There's a welcome packet for you. We're ready to roll. It's up at the front desk. So this Monday, I was like, all right, I'm going to go pick up my welcome packet. I walk up the stairs, realize I've done my workout for the day. I'll just go right back down the stairs. And that's the only thing I get to. I get up the stairs, like, that's good enough. I don't need to pick up my welcome packet, and I go back down the stairs.
And you could have done that for free.
I could have done that for free, and I realized that at this point.
Walk up, look at the inside of the gym, and go, not today. And walk back down the stairs.
The welcome packet is the thing that keeps me motivated to go back, walk up the stairs. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm going back down.
Do you just go get like a protein shake after you walk up the stairs at the gym?
They do have like
and then go back
shake.
down. Yeah, just walk in and get a shake.
That's a good idea, though.
Yeah,
that's
the best part of going to the gym is paying for a $10 protein shake.
I got to fill up all the calories that I burned walking up the stairs. You're right. I got to get the protein.
Build
shake
that muscle. Yeah.
Get that. So we also had our DCBC for the month of February. You were not able to make it because of some prior commitment, which I'm upset about. But we decided we're going to check out this new Charlotte Cigar Loft
in Concord.
I was about to say, you know where that's located? In downtown Concord. Does that make a bit of sense to you?
Yes,
Small
they're embarrassed
business.
of Concord, I guess.
But you would think you would want
If you stand on the roof, you might be able to see Charlotte.
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Maybe on a clear day.
Yeah.
Or clear night.
Yeah. So we had 15, 20 people there that night.
A lot of people, yeah.
Not everybody was smoking a cigar. Probably about 15 to 20 minutes into that bad boy, the fire alarm decides to go off in a cigar lounge. The irony.
Yeah, so we just got an overview of the place and the air handler and how fast it can turn over the room.
Sure.
When people start smoking in there. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
I think it's probably at least 30 minutes into the experience.
Right.
And it's just, if you've ever heard a fire alarm in a commercial building.
Yeah.
It's
pleasant.
How long did that play?
What was the cost? I mean, obviously the cigar smoke, but obviously their air handler doesn't work?
Yeah.
Well, bottom line.
That's what we figured out for him. Yeah.
Sarah Pastor buddy, I had a huddle with him that night, and I could smell him come into the place.
Oh, yeah.
So when he told me y'all went to the cigar lounge, I forgot all about it because I knew I couldn't make it.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that doesn't smell too good.
Yeah, it was foggy in there.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, yeah, the fire department came out. So
3 fire trucks.
3 fire trucks.
Wow.
They were ready to roll. They had nothing better to do.
So I guess that was a good trial run for the cigar lounge.
The Charlotte Cigar Lounge. Yeah.
So are they going to make modifications? They're just going to let her eat?
We have no idea. We packed up our stuff.
We hung around for a long time. Yeah.
No,
it's a nice place.
Yeah. Overall, it was a really nice place. Comfortable seats.
Nobody stopped smoking when the fire alarm went off. That was probably the best part.
Yeah. Right. Well,
you're committed. You know the reason to smoke.
Sure.
There's no point to panic.
The only thing that I was thinking about is if there was a real fire. We got problems. But then I realized it's right above the hot dog place downtown Concord. I'm just going to go downstairs, raid their fridge, get all the hot dogs, and hey, buddy, we got some food going on now.
I kind of wonder if hopefully none of that smoke wafts down into the hot dog joint. That'd probably pretty miserable tenants. I would imagine.
Have you been to the hot dog place?
The Frankfurters?
Yeah.
That 3 for $3 or whatever it is. No, I can never get by. I've been there once for lunch, but I can never get by there when I think I want a hot dog because they close at like an odd time.
3:00 in the afternoon.
Those lunch places, right?
Yeah, and if you're not there by 2:45, forget it, Jack.
Is it just lunch? Do they do breakfast or anything?
No.
Oh wow, it's like 11 to 3.
11 to 3.
I don't know if it's that. It's probably gonna be like I think it's maybe like an hour and a half window. I think they even take a break in there for lunch.
They got to stop to eat their own.
Yeah,
hot
it
dogs.
is.
Are they open until they run out of hot dogs and they only buy 1 pack a day?
Yeah,
it's something odd, man. I've tried going by there several times, and there's always like just closed or be back, or I mean, it's just odd. So.
Yeah. Very reasonable price. You must check out our friends at Watchman Cigars. Watchman Cigars is a family-owned business that puts the customer first with the best customer service in the business. Watchman Cigars offers the Habano for a full, spicy flavor, the Connecticut for a mild, easy-to-smoke option, and the Maduro for a strong, powerful experience. They even do specialty blends and partner with you to provide a custom, exclusive line just for you. Watchman Cigars has all your cigar needs. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Watchman Cigars 1991, or check out his new website at watchmancigars.com or the sponsor section of our website. All right, so we want to talk about a couple things that I think would be amiss if we missed talking. Kobe Bryant passed away a couple weeks ago. Tragedy. I think there was a lot of. I saw some Facebook posts of Kobe died, and I hope he knew Jesus. And you don't know when you're gonna die, so make the decision for Jesus. Like they tried to Jesusify,
make it attract.
Yeah, which by the way, boy, that made me mad. I was like, come on, man, and it turns out like he was coming from church.
He's a devout Catholic, evidently.
Yeah.
So.
And so, like, 1, you're judging people, and 2, you're going to use that.
Well, I think Christians have and as a Christian, I'm speaking as part of our tribe, but I think we have the knack of being an asshole at the most inappropriate time. You know what I'm saying? It's just
100%.
I mean, we have that ability.
Yeah.
But we think we're doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But it's like having an altar call at a funeral. We have those worst moments to do that.
Yeah.
Can we get some of those tracks in like the lobby of the helicopter, like the airport?
Oh.
Just drop some of those in there.
See, that's my type of humor right there. I love it.
Oh, but I mean, dude was amazing. But it is also amazing, like, and this is my whole push for living funerals. Like, he'll never know how much the world respected him, until he dies. And I feel like I kind of want to do that now. Like, I want you to tell me how much you respect me now.
I think someone at his status knows that.
Do you think so?
Just because of all the accolades and trophies and rings and attaboys and conferences. He has his own tournament named after him. You know what I'm saying? Like, but on the personal level, like, that's why in my circle I try to constantly tell people how much I appreciate them, love them, things like that. But you just never know. I mean, and also I think you have also the two sides of when someone dies, and Kobe's a great exaggeration of that, because you have the party that he was so wonderful, had no flaws, and then you have the party who goes, yeah, he's a basketball player, but he was also a rapist. They automatically come out in droves to do that.
Yeah,
we have a hard time of celebrating that individual for actually who he was and what he accomplished, but we always have to rally back towards that. And I have mixed emotions about that when it comes to someone like him, because we have an ability to forgive certain profile characters of their flaws, but then accentuate that on certain other ones. You know what I'm saying? And that's the most interesting, I think, as far as a celebrity death and in how that life portrays out into the general culture. But as far as a basketball player, not the greatest, because Jordan will always be the greatest. And we can debate on that, but
he was pretty good.
He was a fairly decent player. I mean, for someone to come out of high school directly to the NBA, that's a rarity. There's not many people that can do. There's not many kids that can do that. I mean, they can, but then they'll be out of the league in 3 years. But he had a long tenure and probably still could play.
Yeah.
I think, but we have a way of bypassing a lot of things. Also, he did a lot of great. I mean, evidently he was a great father. He had a redemption story that I don't think was probably publicized as great as some other redemption stories would be.
Yeah.
But his redemption story was lived out with his family and his inner circle, which I think is pretty awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, and Coach K spoke pretty highly of him too during one of those interviews I saw. So, cool guy. You know what gets me is I never knew, like, as a Charlotte basketball fan, that the Hornets drafted him. He was on the team for like a week.
Look, Charlotte sports. So you got,
I know.
Charlotte Hornets, the Carolina Panthers, and I'll even say Atlanta Braves, Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta Hawks. Our Southeast professional teams have this ability to basically grab someone who is going to be the next
Kobe,
Michael Jordan, Brett Favre, and then all of a sudden get rid of them. Atlanta's done that. They've had rookies who have a 40 home run season, leading the batting, and all of a sudden trade them away in the offseason for two guys who are 1 year away from retirement. They always do that.
Yeah.
So we have a great ability of doing that in Carolina sports.
Yeah, but that was the headline that the Charlotte media picked up on was
you got him first.
The greatest Hornet that never was.
So true.
Well, they don't know about me. Yeah. So our special guest, Nathan Evans, from Rocky River Counseling. Can I ask you a question about this whole Kobe thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the nation, they mourned, but then you saw people like taking it like personally, like they knew Kobe, but they didn't. Like they never do. Why do we like do that with celebrities? Of like, oh man, my whole world is rocked, and I'm mourning like it was my firstborn. Why do we make that? Why do we grieve in such a way?
Yeah, I think that's a question I asked myself a lot that week after. I never was a Kobe fan. I didn't love him as a person, didn't respect his leadership style as a player. I thought he was selfish. I always thought he was great, but he just never did anything for me. And then that Sunday afternoon, I'm on my phone playing some stupid game, and I get a text from Justin. It was just Kobe, exclamation point, question mark. Like, I don't know, whatever. I ignored it, and then another one came in, so I got on Twitter, like everybody does. And, right, got to figure out what's going on in the world. And it was a gut punch. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why. And it was that whole day I followed it, and my kids and wife were annoyed. I had SportsCenter on all day, and I think part of it was the idea, as a father, his daughter's in there with him, the helplessness of that moment, what Vanessa and his kids are going through, and all, just that whole emotional experience. And then the days and the aftermath, coming in that first Monday to see clients, and first client of the day was like, oh, crazy weekend with Kobe, right? And so we spent some time talking about it, and it wasn't that client, but shortly thereafter, somebody brought up, it's a pretty well-known quote that everyone dies, but not all of us will live. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of his takeaway, that Kobe lived this life, incredible life, and but we all get this sense it was cut really short. Mm. And I think there was something about him as a father, him as a husband, and how somebody who has it all could all just be taken away in a moment. I think it really clicked with a lot of people. I think it brought people into just a perspective of their humanity that really, it just really resonated with you.
And it's odd that it's like a sports figure, like, people die all the time, right? And then there's famous people that died all the time. But, like, for some reason, this particular sports figure, it really impacted.
Well, he was a very polarizing sports figure. Like, he had so much talent and so many accolades, and he was, I think, an interesting personality on some level.
Yeah.
I think about, like, when Dale Earnhardt died. He was one of those, like, top of his genre or his, area.
Gotcha.
And I grew up in, I lived like 3 miles from his shop growing up. So, like, in my community, he was a big deal. And I remember, I was probably 19, 20 when he died. And that was just like, oh, wow, this is some guy, this is close to home. And I think for a lot of NBA fans or just pop culture fans, Kobe's huge, So it's, you get that recognition or something. It's like, I know that guy, but you don't know him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that weird personification, like this person, and you don't, but then you mourn like you do. So,
yeah.
We're also going to talk about Super Bowl. Producer Brian, the only reason why I was pulling for the 49ers was because I know you're a huge fan.
I'm a little fan, small fan, yes. I've been for a very long time, almost 30 years. Actually, exactly 30 years.
Has it?
Yeah.
From today?
Well, not from today. Exactly, yes. 30 right. To the second.
To the second, you made it.
That was, so it was a tough one to swallow there at the end, I can't be too, it's a great season. So
if you ain't first, you're last.
Apparently. That's what, the media afterwards is kind of brutal, and just, some of the things that people like to say to hurt people. It hurts.
Trolls.
Yeah. But, I can't complain about anything. it was a great season.
Yeah.
How many teams get to go to the Super Bowl?
2
a year? 2, right?
Right.
That's a success, right? Just to and be in it.
But it's a great opportunity to build off that for the next year too. Yeah. And that's a lot of times people don't realize that.
Yeah, and there's some, could be some cap issues, but to be in it for 52 minutes of 60, it's pretty good.
I think one of the things that everybody loves about the Super Bowl are the commercials. Was there any that really kind of jumped out at you that you're like, oh, that was a great one?
I think for me, there's a Jeep Gladiator ad that was the Groundhog Day.
Bill Murray.
That was
so
perfect. It was that one was one of the ones that beginning to end grabbed me.
Yeah,
I loved it.
No, that was a great one.
That one in the Alexa commercial with the "What did we do before?"
Oh,
that had to be my favorite one.
Ellen.
The Ellen, just going like everyone had a name that was kind of similar to Alexa.
Right.
Turn down the temperature 3 degrees, and she throws a log through the window or whatever. That one really got me.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Nothing that was good. Like, oh wow,
really?
Yeah. To my memory.
Okay. Do you guys remember? I think my favorite was the Google commercial where the old man is like, "Hey, Google, remember this?" And it was about Loretta, his dying or his dead wife has passed away, and remember this. Remember when we used to laugh? What is her sound or laugh? I was crying by the end of that one. Yeah.
So basically, we're saying AI will replace our loved one. Is that what we're saying?
Not replace it, but I think it was good to say, hey, if you want to remember, you can always ask Google. I think it was interesting how they incorporated the use of technology for seniors. Hey, you can actually use this stuff. It's not.
So instead of saying, "Hey Google," you got to say, "Okay, Boomer."
Any others that you liked? I like the Mountain Dew commercial that was a remake of The Shining with Bryan Cranston.
Oh yeah, that was
I thought that one was a good one. Anyone else?
Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny, which is one of my favorite shows. He was in I don't even know. Every time I looked up, he was in a commercial.
Well, that was a Tide commercial and a Bud Light commercial.
Just kept carrying over.
In how much did that cost for Tide? Because Tide was in everybody else's commercial.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the other one that the one thing I wanted to point out is Budweiser didn't have one this year, did they? With the Clydesdales?
No, there was no Clydesdales.
I think this is the first
wait a
time
minute. There was a Budweiser commercial. I'm looking through the list here to
they
see.
had the Bud Night.
But it wasn't the Clydesdales because that's tradition.
Typical American.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
That's Budweiser. I don't remember that one. See, I typically don't. The commercials aren't my thing, especially when my team's playing. So that's the bathroom.
You turn it over to the Puppy Bowl.
No, the Porcelain Bowl.
I got you.
There's Doritos, the Cheetos. The Can't Touch This.
That was a good one.
That was nice. Now, let's talk. Can we talk about Cheetos popcorn for a second, and why that has not existed before now?
Wait, what?
Cheetos popcorn. You get the $30 can of popcorn during Christmas, the fundraiser thing
from Boy Scouts,
with the caramel and the butter and the cheese.
Yeah,
and the cheese is top 2 flavor in that can, right?
Ooh. I guess I usually call the caramel.
It's the top 2,
the caramel,
because you know what you're eating last.
Yeah, just the plain.
Yeah. You're eating the caramel, the cheese, or you take the little thing out, and you just get a handful of both at one time.
Right,
but
Chicago style.
Yes,
that's Chicago. What did you say?
Chicago style. The caramel and the cheese together.
That's Chicago style.
Mm-hmm.
I need to.
Have you not had it?
No,
it's really good.
You haven't done that?
I've not.
Oh, dude. Well, it's good. I didn't know Chicago owned that.
Yeah.
That upsets me a little bit.
Thought you could eat popcorn and get shot or something.
I call it Bryant style, but
you call it Bryant style.
Yeah.
You're just gonna rename everything that happens Bryant style.
I thought of it
That's
first. I'm pretty sure. Amazon before Alexa. The Walmart, had all the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
One of the dumbest ones to me was the Martin Scorsese and Jonah Hill.
Oh, I hated that.
Because they hang out, right?
Sure. Why pick those two?
And then the best part is right after the Super Bowl, they have the abbreviated version of the commercial, which makes absolutely no sense if you don't get the full 60 seconds of him texting back and forth and the Coke energy.
I would have preferred Commissioner Gordon and Batman. That would have been a good one. Hey, are you coming?
Yeah.
And then the dot.
The bat signal kind of thing. I don't feel like it. Yeah, that would be a better commercial. Hands down.
I just made millions.
It'd probably be cheaper than what they paid those two also.
But Jonah Hill, what has he done lately?
He lost some weight.
Yeah.
And then he gained it back.
Post Malone. That was the one I really liked.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care for his music, but the fact that everyone in his head had tattoos like him, that amused me.
Those tattoos just freaks me out. I don't like his music because of his tattoos on his face.
He looks like he should be a thug rapper or something.
Right.
He's not.
No, not at all. And Grandma must have loved that. Why has he got all these tattoos?
And flannel, those two things.
Sure. What about the halftime commercial or the halftime show? Y'all.
Mamacitas.
50 and 40.
Good for them.
Good for them.
43.
43.
Yeah.
I bet they don't fall when they run up the stairs.
They just don't lie.
No,
Look, it's amazing how my family, we enjoyed the show because I think we watched the show and then I went to bed. But Shakira was awesome. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Except the one part where she looks at that part.
Yeah, that drove me nuts. That was, and then they're playing the fake guitar. That was awesome.
Like, she's never gonna live that down.
No.
The next day I see that that's a screenshot.
It's a meme,
Yeah.
Instantly.
But you see all the moms and the dads on the news channels. The news loves to do the little clickbait. Hey, what was your thoughts on the halftime show? And then you see everyone out there. Well, it's a disgrace. My daughter was watching. But the previous years when you have guys out there,
Adam Levine,
taking a shirt off.
Yep.
Nobody's mad about that.
These are the same mothers who take their daughters to dance, recitals, dance class and these dance recitals where the kids are basically wearing a two-piece, and twerking basically, and all of a sudden we're like, we're mad about these women, So just get over yourselves, people.
I remember, after the Janet Jackson thing, it got really clean for a while. They had Paul McCartney was all old people no one wanted to watch, right? Then they've gradually
pushed the envelope.
Got a little riskier and riskier. And they get longer. Are they getting longer every year? Because that felt like I don't care for either of their music personally. It just doesn't. I'm not interested in it.
I believe that.
So I was just waiting for the game to come back on. Come on.
I was trying to find. I was asking Alexa where the closest Colombian and Puerto Rican restaurants were because I was like, man, this is good.
I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, I think they did. I mean, couldn't understand half their songs because
that was the other thing
Spanish.
I kept thinking about is how many people are going to be outraged because
it ain't American.
It ain't American. You ain't speaking English. What's going on?
But for
football,
I mean, love or not, I mean, NFL is an export now. We have people all across the world that watch the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
you have.
I think the Jaguars are moving to London, right?
Yeah, supposedly
they want to put a team in Mexico City.
Yeah. So I mean, NFL's international now. So I mean, and also you got to look. I mean, they were in Miami,
right? Well, yeah, that's a very Miami.
And
I kept waiting for a Gloria Estefan to show.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
And Pitbull.
Please no. Please no. Didn't Pitbull
Miami
come on a few years ago?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I think what would be great during the halftime show, then, if that's your argument, is then a soccer game should break out.
The real football.
American football. Yeah, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, one more commercial real quick.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Soda Stream where they discover water on Mars.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy puts it in the Soda Stream and drinks it.
That was pretty funny.
I enjoyed that.
Any other thoughts from you, Nathan?
Yeah, we actually watched the game with a friend and her boyfriend, both from Miami. So they loved the halftime. They knew every word to every song. They were digging it. So they did hate the Hard Rock Hotel commercial that was like a minute long. Michael Bay produced it. And it had J-Lo and A-Rod and Pitbull.
Oh, yeah, that one was weird.
I got distracted. I forget what it was about.
Yeah, they were just angry because they're like, that's not Miami. That's not claiming.
That was probably LA, and they just...
They didn't. They were
that
mad.
one was a weird one.
Yeah, it was a lot. Well, it was Michael Bay, so it was a lot.
Yeah.
So
Snickers dug the hole to fix the world, to put all the problems in.
Oh, that was.
Oh yeah.
The selfie couple
Snickers
fell
hole.
in. I was fine.
Yeah, I can't wait for follow up on that one. Anyway.
All right, so let's go into some wacky news brought to you by 1812 Barbecue. If you have a catering event that you need, if you need some fantastic barbecue with amazing sides, check out our friends at 1812 Barbecue. Guys, this coronavirus thing is going around. Stuck on cruise ships now, all over the place. A man with the coronavirus claims that he overcame the illness with, get this, hot whiskey and honey. A British man living in China claims he beat the coronavirus by downing glasses of hot whiskey and honey. Connor Reed, 25, who teaches English in Wuhan, China, the epicenter of the outbreak that has killed more than 400 people and sickened over 20,000, told The Sun that he was diagnosed with the virus 2 months ago. He went to the hospital, has trouble breathing. They said that they're going to give him some medicine to beat it. He decided, like an idiot, I'm not going to take any medicine for whatever reason. I don't know why. And then he said He refused the antibiotics and started drinking hot tea and honey, and then became much better, and then he is now cured of said virus.
Yeah, in his defense, I'm not sure I would buy prescription drugs in China either.
No, that's probably a good point.
Let me point out. Oh, in 2019, over 8,800, it was 88,000 people died from the flu. Over 8 million hospitalizations. I think the flu has a bad PR company that backs them up. I mean, Corona kills like 400 people. It's like the Walking Dead apocalypse,
right?
That we foreshadow. I mean, but all of a sudden, the flu.
Yeah, I mean, if
Walgreens has happy little things, you get a free sucker if you get a shot.
If this is still going on during like Cinco de Mayo, a bunch of Mexican places are going under because they can't sell Corona cheap.
Oh yeah,
but no, the Corona, compare Corona with Lyme disease. There you go.
So out of this article, you get the fact that the flu has a bad PR person.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
You need to make it more scarier.
Absolutely. I mean, because you know what? You got to think about it. The flu,
right,
kills that many people. Okay,
because it's different every year.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you have a measles outbreak, and you look at it. Measles, you got 3 people have measles, and they call it an outbreak.
Yeah,
and they shut down like Disney World over this day to clean it. But all of a sudden, the flu.
But if the flu came on an airplane from another country, they'd get real excited about it.
Oh, yeah, I'd be scared about that.
Well, it happens every day. It's just a bad PR person.
Yeah, but it's not from China.
They need to have, I guess
that part I think is
or
good.
just imagine
Africa
just imagine if it was a Russian flu.
Oh. They're what they're doing is they're infecting people to vote for Trump.
They're hacking.
They're hacking.
By making his hack.
Biohack.
Do you think this honey and whiskey thing worked? Basically a hot toddy.
Grandma always swore by honey and whiskey.
Is this not a hot toddy?
On the internet, it's got to be true.
I mean, it's only got a 2% fatality rate. So, I mean, and they say those 2% that they were already, most of them were already compromised in some way. So I think whiskey works as well.
I think Chinese grandma over there is, like how our grandmas are like, drink, chicken noodle soup.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah.
I got the clap. Chicken noodle soup.
Right.
Cancer.
My grandmother is Porter's liniment salve.
Well, that too.
Yeah,
eat that. But you got to eat that with your chicken noodle soup.
You rub it on.
But I wonder in China if their grandmas are prescribing bat soup.
Bat soup.
That's where supposedly started. God Almighty.
I thought it was by somebody licked a monkey's butt.
And then, God, why don't I show up tonight?
This is the worst episode ever.
Oh man,
did I miss it?
Yeah, supposedly in these wet markets. Are you familiar with the wet market?
No.
Let me catch you up.
Hey, people, don't eat bats. How about that?
Right. So in Wuhan,
I'm just gonna drink my whiskey.
and all over China, they have these thing called wet markets. Basically, these open air flea market with just nothing but food. Like you'll have like live chickens next to where they're dissecting goats.
I've seen that on Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, but this is like on massive scales because these these communities are huge in China.
It's like Sam's Club for live meat, right?
Live, dead,
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so they in
contamination.
Wuhan, one of the specialties is bat soup, where they actually take bats and make a soup out of it.
Okay.
Anyway, supposedly that's ground zero for this coronavirus. Is bat soup.
Did anybody raise your hand if anybody knew that beforehand?
There's no hands being raised.
There's no hands.
Like I said, I got to quit showing up. I got to start showing up for the stupid version. Somebody doesn't pay attention to news. That needs to be me.
No, that's 100%. I have not paid attention at all.
I read the news every day, but it's stuff like, this, because I think you sent this article.
Yes, you did. I thought I heard that it came from somebody licked a monkey's butt. I'm not joking.
That's the other virus from
is that
from Somalia or something.
All right, so we'll just bypass this. Be done with it.
No monkey butt licking. Okay.
No monkeys were harmed.
That's probably just good advice generally. Not
don't
just
eat bat soup.
Yeah, and definitely don't lick a monkey's butt. That's definitely a great advice.
Why would you? Oh gosh, that's just it can't be good, right?
Which one? Is that
either one?
Maybe.
Does it matter?
Hey, this is what happened. Someone had bat soup and had to get the flavor out of their mouth, so they licked a monkey's butt to get the taste out of their mouth.
That's perfect.
Man. Some gum.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of, I bet both of those would make Peta upset. Many years ago, when Eric and his dad started entering local barbecue competitions for fun. During that time, Eric, a United States Marine, has traveled all over the world, picking up flavors and techniques that today is the unique flavor of the award-winning 1812 barbecue. He has honed his craft to bring you fall-off-the-bone pulled pork, mouth-watering ribs, and finely crafted beef brisket. Eric has developed his own amazing dry rub and delicious barbecue sauce. And let's not forget the sides: coleslaw, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, cowboy baked beans, and to top it all off, banana pudding and pecan pie for dessert. Getting hungry yet? Good. Call or email Eric at 1812 Barbecue, and he can make your next catered meal happen. Wedding and graduation parties, family reunions, and other events will be memorable with 1812 Barbecue. Want to try your own hand at smoking meats? Pick up your own 1812 dry rub and start the journey for yourself. Shipping all over the world, connect with Eric on his Facebook page, Instagram at 1812 Barbecue, or call 704-604-5148, or email Eric at eric.line@1812barbecue.com, and he'll be glad to help any way he can. I don't know if you guys saw
Who's
this.
Peta? Just kidding.
So
that chain of restaurants where you get like some meat and a piece of bread.
Oh yeah,
Peta Pit.
Yes, thank you.
Do you guys walk your dogs? You've got a brand new dog.
Yeah,
I'm not that good with a yo-yo, so
Okay,
no.
that's good. Do you have a?
We don't have a dog.
You don't
yet.
have a dog.
Got kids.
The people you're referring to that wrong. You're not allowed to say you're walking your dog anymore. The people of the ethical treatment of animals has sparked some backlash after a spokesperson for the animal rights organization called the term pet derogatory, claiming that it patronizes the animal. On the daytime show Good Morning Britain, Jennifer White of PETA attempted to explain the group's position on the word pet and suggested that it should be switched to a more inclusive term like companion and human carer. She says, quote, "A lot of people at home who have dogs or cats will call them pets and refer to themselves as owners, and this implies that the animals are a possession, like cars, for example."
Sorry, please go ahead. That's
When you refer to animals not as living beings as they are, but an inanimate object, it can reflect our treatment on these animals. There's a whole lot more, but that's
she is the main reason why we do not deserve God's grace and salvation, and we deserve to be hit by an asteroid all obliterated.
When you refer to animals not as the living beings that they are, but as an inanimate object, because they are.
They're inanimate objects. Pets are. Excuse me.
Pet implies a living.
Well, hold on.
That's
Let's
a
look at their
term of
name.
endearment, isn't it? Like
No.
PETA stands for
Pet
people ethical treatment of animals. So should we even call them animals anymore? Because in their name, they're kind of complicit in this behavior. And I mean, should we not call them animals? Should we just call them companions?
ethical treatment of sentient life forms. Is that a
Let's get technical. Yeah.
What are you going
a
to?
sentient?
Are you
probably
guys going
wouldn't
to
cover
change your pet's name and start saying it's your companion? No.
Me? No.
That implies some other things, right?
Right.
Okay.
Like my wife is my companion. I'll say that.
So can your pet be your partner as well? Is that what's
Maybe.
next? Okay.
Maybe they should say it's your partner. Where do we stop on this, guys? We can't call it a pet anymore.
Companion.
I tell you
it's
what.
like it implies some like equal footing.
Right,
Of some level,
right,
like
yes.
is this dog paying rent? I mean, what
Buying
what,
his own food?
Yeah, what's the arrangement here?
Right.
I tell you what, young lady from Britain, when my dog stops licking his butthole, then I'll stop calling it a pet. No, to call it a companion.
Well, evidently we're licking monkey buttholes, so should we be called the
that's
pet?
different though. We're not licking our own.
If you want my
Brown eyes.
respect, you stop licking that right now.
If you want to be a companion, you'll take that out of your mouth. What about equating the term owner and ownership, like we own the pet?
Well, if money exchanges hands for some of the time, right?
That's my whole
I mean,
point.
adopting a pet is maybe
You still have to buy
there's
it,
some money involved, right?
right?
There's also money involved when you give birth to a kid or go through foster care or adopt. So is that considered ownership?
I mean, until they like
make some money.
Yeah.
Get out of the house.
Hold on.
Until they can buy their way out of their contract. Yeah. Absolutely.
If I work 10 hours a week at $10 an hour, do I have to pay taxes on that? So technically, does the government own me?
Jeez.
So now you're the man.
Let's break this down. Let's use the same logic.
I've already drinking too much of this to have this conversation.
But y'all, at what point do we go too far?
I will contemplate this tonight as I eat a BLT and down it with a beer and a side of cheeseburger.
There you go. Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, last story, guys. I think this is actually a pretty good idea. There's GPS soles that are now available for seniors with dementia and Alzheimer's. New technology sometimes solves problems in ways that we never thought of. This idea comes from a company called GPS Smart Sole. These special insoles use GPS and cellular technology to track the person wearing them. A special app lets you use the phone or computer to find persons that you're locating. These insoles can be used for different applications such as Alzheimer's, dementia, children with special needs, people with brain injuries, or people who are at risk of wandering, like your cheating husband and or spouse. The technology...
Or your companion pet.
Companion.
Right,
The technology is water resistant, hidden, but requires a charge once a day. Oh, that's going to be a problem. The reason the GPS is hidden in the soles of shoes is that loved ones usually don't forget their shoes when they go out. The device costs $299, and the service is between $15 to $25 a month. But some medical companies do cover them. Thoughts? Ideas?
It's cheaper to hide a damn iPhone in the shoe.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
So you could get like those little those luggage tag things.
The tiles?
Like the tile or something.
Yeah.
Just like, Yeah.
That's Bluetooth, though. You're not going to be able to
there's
find
some proximity. There's someone's making something now, or they're about to.
Well, here's the thing. You can't say that you can't create some type of rechargeable item that works off the inertia of the shoe.
Oh, yeah, that's
true.
true.
Saying? Like, they have these flashlights that you can shake them, and it actually charges a kinetic battery. Why not create something like that?
Don't people get their companions chipped sometimes? Can't you get grandma chipped the same way?
I think
that works.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah.
See a wandering person.
Yeah. And where do you belong? Beep. Yeah.
Bloop, 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 bloop. Yeah. It's like go through the line at Walmart. You know, where your self checkout. You kept scanning yourself. That'd be scary.
Yeah, it's like a Simpsons. Pretty old.
Nathan, any thoughts on that? Is that a pretty good idea?
I love it. I love my wife is a social worker, works with the elderly, and does a lot with dementia and Alzheimer's, and so I think she's always
it's old timers.
Yeah, right.
Old timer companions.
I think it's anything to help us keep track of the loved ones in our lives. Go for it.
Yeah,
technology's great.
Way to go.
Who has to charge it? That's my question. Like, there's some technical questions.
Too much. I like Brandon's idea. The inertia.
Yeah. What about grandma who goes out naked? Because you have this silver alert.
But apparently they don't forget their shoes.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
You guys remember that movie? Oh man, The Visitor.
Cocoon. Oh,
wait, what'd you say?
Sorry, Cocoon. Right? All the old people in the pool.
The Visitor. It was a M. Night Shyamalan movie where like the kid goes to visit the grandparents.
Oh yeah.
She didn't wear no shoes. She got out.
Mm-hmm. I didn't see that one.
That was a great movie.
That was a good movie. It's creepy, but good.
It has a great ending, by the way.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of those since The Village. I think it was the last night. Yeah,
that was a good one too.
I like that one. Yeah.
All right, so let's go into some hot topics brought to you by Hook, Line, and Heroes, 501c3 company that helps our vets by fishing and developing or giving them helping.
They go fishing.
They go fishing and tell people about God. How about that?
There you go.
There we go. All right, so just some hot topics, thoughts. We didn't do a whole ton of research on this. State of the Union. Did anybody watch it?
I did not.
No.
About a half hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man.
Zero.
I was just eating dinner. My wife had it on. Yeah.
Congratulations, sir. Well, you're the expert on this. Any thoughts?
It was fine. It was as divisive as I assumed it was going to be. Yeah. Nobody was cheering for either side. So.
I went back and watched the highlights.
Okay.
Look at you.
The
The moments that define every State of the Union probably since I've been alive is the ones where they name a certain so-and-so standing in the gallery tonight. Those moments like that. There's a couple tearjerkers there where they reunited the serviceman with his family.
Oh, that gets me every time.
Those get me every time, especially walking to school. But this one got me big time, too.
They didn't know they were there?
So luckily we don't have that clip queued because I'd probably cry again like I did before.
Yeah.
That one.
Did you see that?
I didn't see. I saw the great grandfather. The World War II vet.
Let's give a little context on this. So Trump announces this little kid, 13-year-old kid, says, this kid, yada yada yada, grows up such and such, wants to be part of Space Force. Oh, and behind him in the gallery tonight is McNair, I think is his last name, the Tuskegee Airman, who happens to be 100. And happens to be this kid's great grandfather. And you're like, what plot twist? What? I mean, yeah, that was a great one. That was a great one.
So
is this the same guy that was at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, same exact.
How many 100-year-old Tuskegee Airmen are there?
Well, exactly one.
Okay.
So yeah.
So is Trump kind of trying to do his own Google commercial?
I think he had the tearjerker moments. There was a couple times, and there was another one where Kayla Mueller, who was the aid worker, who basically said that she didn't this is a quote by Kayla Mueller. She was the aid worker who was captured by ISIS, who was Baghdadi's personal slave. And then, she was kept in captivity for 500 something days of being raped and abused and then was killed. So, and one of her quotes that she wrote was that, sometimes, people find their faith in love and happy moments and this and that. She finds her faith in suffering, and she found her faith that she was able to be a helping hand to people who are suffering. Great inspirational quote. Well, he had her family there in the gallery, the mom and dad, and just talked about how on the night of the operation, the SEAL team, the Special Forces team, named that operation Operation 814, which was her birthday. And then they went in and pretty much wiped out al-Baghdadi. And so her mother and father stood up with her picture, not a frame picture, just like a rustic picture that they pulled out of the pocket. And it was a touching moment. That was probably one of the more gut-wrenching moments also.
Hook, Line, and Heroes is a 501c3 nonprofit based in Charlotte, North Carolina, founded in 2017 to show God's love and appreciation for our disabled and PTS military veterans. They provide professionally guided fishing trips to nominated veterans at no cost to the veteran. Hook, Line, and Heroes has provided over 30-plus trips around the Carolinas since their founding, from red fishing down in Charleston to striper fishing on Lake Norman, and even offshore fishing down in Florida. Each trip is a one-on-one experience with a member of the organization, aiming to provide a day of fun and relaxation on the water and begin a lifelong relationship with them. Each veteran leaves the day with a fully stocked tackle box, rod and reel, apparel, a Bible, and a daily devotion to kickstart their new hobby and build their relationship with God. Please take the time to visit their website at hooklineandheroes.org to hear and learn more about them. You can help in many ways by nominating a veteran through their website, join their monthly giving program, Healing Heroes, or send a one-time personal or corporate donation. You'll also be happy to hear that they are completely volunteer-run, and nearly 100% of your donations goes directly towards providing trips for the veterans. Be sure to follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to see their veteran stories and to show your support.
For political points, you could also tell the time where there's one young lady that he gave a scholarship to for, because the school system is so bad in Philadelphia that single working mom, and they're going to provide a scholarship for her to go to another school. And things like that. Just it's kind of like, I think it's where Trump is kind of a master of speeches in a lot of ways, ones that are prompted, teleprompted, because he was able to conceal that plot twist, like the Tuskegee Airmen. This kid wants to go to Space Force. Oh, by the way, this guy standing behind him is his great grandfather. He was one of the greatest generation. Plot twist.
Well, yeah, he knows how to make a television show.
Oh, he does. He's a great producer, scripted producer of this, things like that.
So also, Trump is like M. Night Shyamalan. Okay.
Exactly. I can see that. Yeah. Didn't see it coming.
So they were in the woods the whole time.
It was current day.
Actually, they were dead 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. I thought the State of the Union was about, like, the state of the country and what, like, how things are going.
He did that. He gave, I think, from the highlights I've watched, he laid out economic accomplishments over the past 4 years. I mean, we're at 3.5, 3.4 unemployment right now. That's pretty low. I mean, if you talk to people in small business, they can't even find help right now because of the unskilled labor that would be a part of certain pools are no longer there. Just because everybody's reading.
I just didn't know all the other stuff was stuck in there. Is that the thing that's
that's always everyone's done it.
I've watched zero.
Yeah.
State of the Union.
I usually
I might have watched the one right after 9/11.
Yeah, that was a big one. I mean, I usually watch them all. It's just that, I'll be honest with you, it becomes so divisive, like Nathan said. It just becomes unpalatable. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I mean, just in the highlights, you can watch Nancy Pelosi chew her face off. You know that she's biting her inside her mouth like she always does because she's so geeked up on something. And, you just can tell. And if there's a Republican president, the Democrats aren't going to stand. If there's a Democrat president, the Republicans aren't going to stand. And there's going to be that constant.
That whole thing is just
theater.
Stupid.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
In politics, is theater for the ugly. I mean, it literally is. So,
did
you have any thoughts that?
No, you nailed it.
You're the specialist,
right? I guess I am. It's tough. Trump did pretty well as far as delivering it. I don't think he's an incredible speaker most of the time, but he did pretty well in delivering, I think, the message he was trying to put out. And but it's just hard. It's hard to engage the message with the theater, the orchestration of the cutaways of, they're trying to show the people shaking their heads or scowling or nodding in agreement, or it's all just trying to get us pulled one way or the other. So
could we just go back to radio and just listen to it? That'd be good.
Well, I think maybe we just go back to one just have one shot. And in fact, if you look at historically, that's George Washington's first State of the Union speech was received so badly, he got so mad that the next State of the Union, he stayed home.
There's one camera? Is that the problem?
Is that on YouTube? Can I watch that?
We can try. But he just basically wrote his speech and just gave it to someone to give it to.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, he's
That's a good idea.
Yeah, why not?
Way to go, George.
Yeah. I'm surprised the State of the Union ain't on Twitter. I mean, he likes to tweet, so
you can just tweet the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be fun to read.
Twitter storm.
All right, let's go ahead and go to our special guest. He's already been talking for a while. So, Nathan Evans, Rocky River Counseling. What all can we say about you? You've got a degree in Christian counseling.
Yeah, I've got a degree in Christian counseling from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary. I just 2 weeks ago, I got fully licensed with the state. First 3 years, I was a licensed professional counselor associate, and then they changed the name of the whole license right before I got a license. And so now I'm a clinical mental health counselor is my title.
Ooh, and they can charge more, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, no. It's
sorry, I should be saying that probably.
No, it's part of it. No, I've had my practice for going into my 4th year and work with all sorts of people. So good work.
Specialties on Psychology Today.
Yeah,
says anxiety, depression, and marital and premarital counseling.
Yeah. Psychology Today is an advertising site, so you got to hit your common search places, and those are the places where most people come in. Is one of those 3 spots. I do a lot of marital counseling of couples, but I also do a lot of marital counseling of individuals because this one person wants to participate, and it's not an ideal place to start, but everybody's got to start somewhere, and anxiety and depression are pretty easy things for anybody to identify in themselves. They know when they've had some anxiety rolling for a while, or they're really depressed, and they know when their marriage isn't good. And so those are normally what brings people in the door. And then what the work we actually do, that ends up being a lot more complex usually.
One of the things that I noticed, like issues, and we could talk more about this later, but one thing I thought was interesting was video game addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. And I also heard like screen time is also like to the point where it's addicting.
I just had this conversation with a mom today, and two preteen daughters, and trying to figure out how to regulate technology in a way that, technology is how the it goes up every year, but especially the teen and preteen, that's how they communicate with each other. That's how they connect with their peers. And so for her not wanting her daughters to be Amish, not to be like social lepers, but also not let them be the ones that are up at 2 a.m. checking for likes on Instagram, and just kind of trying to give her some tools, practical and otherwise, to manage that.
So that's a growing thing that's happening.
Yeah, and there's some great tools. I'll just throw out there because I told her this and she had no idea existed. There's a thing called Disney Circle, and if any parents don't know this exists, it's a little box that you plug into your internet, and it helps you regulate both screen time. So it'll, you can say, hey, turn on at 3:30, turns on the kids' internet at 3:30, turn off 4:30, turns off, can't access the internet. It also apps, YouTube, whatever they play, turn them on and off so they can only play for a half hour a day or whatever you want. Kind of does some extra parenting to help you along so you don't let distraction and whatever keep you from making sure your kids are staying safe. And
I saw a Google commercial, going back to Google commercials, like where you can, if kids have tablets or whatnot, you can schedule it so that it also does the same thing, like turn the kids' Wi-Fi off so that they're not able to connect. So I think those tools are really important.
Yeah, I think a lot of smart devices have controls built in, parental stuff. You just have to know how to get to it. How to use it,
and how to keep your kids from, as they get older, from turning off themselves. And the thing I like about the Circle, it's all managed through the parents' app, and so unless the kid has access to your phone, they don't have access to and it. You can pay a fee because you can pay a fee for everything, and you can also have it regulate their data too. So as they get older, you can keep them from going overboard. And that's the big issue when you go talk about video game addiction or whatever. It's nothing wrong with video games, nothing wrong with phones, tablets, whatever. It's always how we use them.
Yeah, no doubt. Also, Rocky River Counseling. Do you guys come from a faith-based counseling?
Yeah. So my background, before I did counseling, I spent 12 years as a pastor at UNCC, so my background is faith-based. The work I do, I tell my clients that we will integrate faith into our work exactly as relevant as it is to their life. So if they are strong in their faith, it will be a major part of our work. If faith is not a part of their life, it won't ever come up, at least not directly. And that's to be ethical, but also be respectful of where they are in their life, and I let them know what my background is. I don't try to hide that, and I let them know, hey, I might use some examples that are relevant and I think are important, but I don't never pushy. But I try to meet people wherever they are.
Because I've been to quote unquote Christian counselors, and they just shove it so far down your throat.
Yeah,
the helicopter track.
The helicopter track. It gets so uncomfortable that you're just like, I got to bail. And I'm a Christian. Like, this is horrible.
Yep. And so my clinical supervisor, so when I was getting my associate license or getting that worked through, the first 3 years, I worked under a supervisor. Her name is Dr. Krista Phipps. She runs a counseling center at Hickory Grove Baptist Church, biggest Baptist church in Charlotte. And she could not stand what you're describing. What biblical counselors, the name in the field is nouthetic counseling is what they call it, to kind of cloak it a little bit so nobody knows what they're getting. Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Nouthetic? I don't know what nouthetic means. I know what it means is garbage. It's
loosely translated from the Greek.
Right.
New Testament ethic.
Skibala.
It's basically what they do is they lead with scripture and then sprinkle counseling psychological principles on top. And there's nothing wrong with using scripture in our work as it's relevant. But the issue is it doesn't always meet people at the most helpful place. And it does come across kind of, using a sledgehammer where you need like an eyeglass screwdriver a lot of times.
Wow. So counseling, you've been doing this for 4 years, but you've been pastoring for 12 as well. How have you seen, and this is going to be easy question, how have you seen mental health change in youth / young adults in the past 12, 15 years?
Yeah, it
It's easy, right?
Completely. No, yeah, no, I actually think it has changed completely. There was this. I remember my first year in ministry having a lot of students come with mental health issues and having no concept what to do, what was going on, where to point them. It was just like, wow, this is a lot. You're in trouble. But very quickly, we developed a relationship with some counselors who are just starting off in the field and are still in Charlotte, and we pretty quickly started referring students to them, and what has the biggest change has been college students now, if they're having mental health issues, counseling is instant. They know, they seek it out. Counseling on campus, which is okay. It's a excellent immediate resource. Long term, they don't normally. I don't know what UNCC does anymore. It used to be 4 max sessions, and then they would refer you out. I don't know if it's even that much anymore. But I see probably, I don't know, a third of my caseload is 25 and under, and most all of those are non-teenagers who are being forced to be here, and just who realize I can't tackle these day-to-day or week-to-week mental health issues on my own. I need somebody to give me some tools, and so I think that's the big change, is they recognize it, that it's just like they might need a personal trainer, or they might need somebody to help them in physics. They need somebody to help them navigate the mental health.
So overall, the mental health stigma of this being taboo, or I don't want to talk about it, is way more open.
Yeah, I don't know if it exists anymore for the under 25 set. Now, to say that they're open to the changes they need to make and all those, I mean, I think that's a human resistance issue. Sure. But none of us want to look in the mirror that deeply. But I think, as far as saying there's something going on that I need to fix, what's my next step? I don't think there's much of a question for them anymore. Especially once they probably 17 or 18, teenagers still hate it. That's pretty. I'd say probably 70% of under 17 I see, they would rather be getting a root canal here, but that's part of the fun.
I will say again, Afton Endodontics does the best root canals that I've ever experienced.
The new show sponsor.
Cha-ching. Yeah. Do you have questions?
I guess the question that you asked as far as things that have changed, over the past few years, obviously transitioning from being a college pastor 12 years ago to mental health now, some of the things that would have been classified as mental health now just seems to be part of identity, or identity changes. Have you had to shape or move with that?
Yeah. I mean, from a ethical perspective, as far as questions of sexuality or anything like that, those are waters we have to kind of toe around. And I think for me, what I want to help people walk through, because I have a couple clients who are in some form of figuring out their sexuality in particular, helping them reframe that away from being a central part of their identity. Just that, and as far as my heterosexuality isn't a central part of my identity directly, and that it can be a part of who they are if that's where they land, but that there's bigger issues in their life than just sexuality as personality. It's bigger than that, and I think that's where they can get trapped.
I think, man, I've never heard it phrased that way. Sexuality as personality. I mean, I don't know that probably perfectly describes
it. Makes
right
sense.
There.
Yeah. People
because
put so much into that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
who I am.
That's their core
what
identity.
I am. Yeah.
If you don't recognize that as my core identity, then you're not cool.
Yeah. I don't think about that as who I am.
Yeah.
It's a part of. I guess it's a part of.
Well,
I
I quit carrying my white male card and I quit carrying my heterosexual male card years ago. So
I lost mine. I think they got washed in the washer machine.
I'm good at that.
It fell apart when you took out your pocket. Okay.
I'm just kind of curious because I mean, it seems to be where a lot of times where you have someone who may be questioning their identity in high school. Well, once they get to college, they don't have parents up their rear end, so they can experiment with that. And then, coming into it now, I mean, just be kind of curious. And I'm glad you're here. I didn't realize you were a quote unquote Christian counselor, even though I know you. Because
I let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
but I'm glad to hear that because my experience also with Christian counseling is, let's read a verse and see how it can fix you. And I think that's probably the negative stereotype of Christian counseling because. I went to a Christian counselor for one visit years ago, and they recommend that I read Peter and go to the gym to work out my aggression. So that was their counseling advice.
My counseling advice was put all your problems.
I love this. Go for it.
Put all your problems in a treasure chest. Close it.
Mm-hmm.
Lock it mentally, like, you're going through this thing. Lock it. Then you hand it to Jesus. He takes the treasure chest and he ascends to heaven and takes it away.
So your problems will be in heaven when you get there.
Oh, no. I didn't think about that.
Implication.
Oh, no.
So Jesus take the wheel.
Jesus take the wheel. Wait, did he get his degree from like Leanne Womack? Like, what in the world? Whoever sings that song.
Carrie Underwood.
Oh, is it Carrie? Yeah. Carrie Underwood? That's horrible, right?
No, that's really bad.
What?
Yeah, I tell people to do literally the opposite. But
Just
that's
forget
fine.
about all your problems.
Jesus has to come down with your problems?
That's it.
That is awful. I'm not going to you either.
I want Jesus to take that treasure chest and light it on fire and stomp on it. That's what I want him to do.
Nail it to the cross. Do you really? You don't really do that.
No. That drives me nuts. But you know what that drives me nuts with Christian counseling? Because I've known other people have had experiences with that where, it's always like, that's my mother's shrink advice.
Yeah.
Just give it to Jesus.
Yeah.
Just give it. Mom, I have cancer. Just give it to Jesus. Mom, I'm about to have a breakdown right now. Just give it to Jesus. That seems to be the prototypical answer that you would get from a quote-unquote Christian counselor.
My experience has been, and I've never said this out loud to the world, so here we go. It's
just us.
Nobody's listening. Typically it is another issue to unpack and overcome if somebody comes in with what they report as being a deep faith, because with being in the South, what they report as being a deep faith is usually just as fragmented and broken as the rest of their life. And so to use any amount of faith in the session, you're just piling on top of their already broken worldview. And so it's another thing that has to be deconstructed and rebuilt, just like everything else. And so I'm very careful. I don't care how strong Christian somebody says when they're coming in. I'm very careful to use anything faith related on the front side, because I don't want to make it harder on myself in the long run, because I'm building on some really painful scars.
Yeah. Wow.
You should just say, give it to Jesus. It's hard to get that recurring client, right?
Yeah. It's one and done.
Fixed them, yeah.
Jesus going to take it all. Stigma for the 25 and under crowd leaving quickly.
Sure.
What about older? I know that even me at 42 telling a friend, like, hey, we're going to counseling, and you kind of get that weird look like, and then the question, is everything okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, everything's fine. We're just trying to put, and I hate this term, but give me something else to use. I want more tools in my toolbox. I hate that phrase, but
I use it all the time. It's fine.
But like,
he's a professional.
Yeah.
We're just trying to, be healthy and continue that mental health. But like even the stigma for the older folks, and I know my dad's generation and older, like, oh my gosh, something. I told my dad, and he's like, oh my gosh, you guys getting divorced? Like, no, Dad, it's fine. We're good.
The opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's the exact opposite. How do you break that down for the older generation?
It is, it's really hard for, so I'm obviously a male counselor. There's not a lot of us. I think last I heard something like 15% of counselors are men.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
Very
it's
sexist industry.
It is. And empathy doesn't translate very far. And so we are very in demand as far as for men in general, particularly teenage boys, which is almost impossible. But also a lot of middle-aged men who will seek out for a variety of reasons. And it is that is the hardest population for me to work with, is middle-aged men, because they come in looking for the A plus B equals C way to work through this. And that if I've never quantified it, but I would guess of the men I've had come in that age range, the number that have made it over 10 sessions, which 8 to 10 sessions for me is when the work really begins, because that's when they finally trust me. I know them well enough and they're ready to get to the nitty gritty. And the number of middle-aged men I've had make it past 8 or 10 sessions is probably 20%. They bail. They almost consistently bail when they realize, like, oh, this isn't going to be quick. This isn't going to be just like you tell me what to do and I fix it. Like, I have to look at myself and I have to admit I'm part of the problem. They don't like it.
Nope.
It's and I think that's a guy thing in general. I get it, but it's part of the healing process. Now, women, for the most part, I think culturally for women, it's a more accepted thing to say to somebody at lunch, I'm going to counseling. It's a more good for you thing. You tell the guy, another guy, that you're going to counseling, and like you said, it's like, what? Like, do I need to call 911? What's going on? and so that comes into play when doing couples counseling. 90% of the couples I see are either probably in their first 7 years of marriage or have been married more than 30 years. So they're at either they're young married or they're in the later years, and it's hard with the older couples, the middle-aged couples, to get the guys to buy in, to invest in.
And it's tough work, guys. It's not something, like you said, that you go in and you fix on round 3. Like, I guess I'm not in the statistic, but like I continue to go and try to fix, and guys, let's be honest, we screw up constantly, right? It's so hard to remember.
No.
So like, just I have to go and remember, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this and supposed to do that. But it's been so beneficial. What are some, I don't want to say it this term, but like success stories that you're like, wow, this has really helped this person out. Like, counseling has really helped change their trajectory of where they're going.
Yeah, there's several, and I can't get into obviously too many nitty-gritty details, but there's one story in particular, somebody who came to me with in their 20s and just floundering and still living at home in their 9th year of college, just a lot going on, and self-medicating pot 3-4 times a day, and reporting a lot of anxiety. And it took months and months. I'm trying to figure out what do they want to do. They're working part-time, school, I think 2 classes at that point. Mom and dad are ready for them to go. Mom and dad are paying for it. And finally we got to the point of examining some medication, which is a point some clients get to. And so they went to their psychiatrist, a new psychiatrist, because their old one was retiring, which was, in the long run, the best thing ever happened to him. And the psychiatrist looked at them and said, you don't have anxiety. You have ADHD. This person had been medicated for anxiety for 15 years. Oh, and wow. He got on the right meds, and all of a sudden, everything changed.
Wow.
And we worked on finding a meaningful career, on confronting some demons from the past, from some insecurities with past relationships, and that a few different seasons of therapy, and been working 2.5 years, and today manager at a business, married, doing really well. And so it's cool when you see somebody, and it's a collaborative, right? Like, medication's not a bad thing. We all, it exists for a reason. It's not a path for all my clients or most of them, but for a lot of people, it's the path you need to help you get healthy. And his parents and, now wife and me being a small part of that. It's cool to see somebody journey through life and come out on the other side, just being able to live in a more free way.
I want to make sure we get our copay, paid for on this one. Where do you see shame built in to the maybe American psyche, or even with or without Christianity? Like, where is shame in mental health, and how prevalent is that?
I think, without sounding too much like Brene Brown or people of her school of thought, I honestly think it's woven into almost everything. Whether it be, like you were talking about the stigma of mental health. So literally just the fact they're taking care of themselves, and how bad they feel for not putting that money, time, energy into something more productive. Whether it be, that middle-aged couple I talked about coming in, and the guy being so beat up by the ways he screwed up that he can't get past that to actually engage in moving forward. Or the college student who comes in and it's feeling like, I'm letting my parents down, or I have this expectation for myself and I'm falling short of that. It at the end of the day, shame or guilt or whatever label they want to throw on it, there's this core fear part of all of us that's broken, and it speaks messages to us that hold us back, that keep us stuck, that whatever. And so guilt and shame are really an underlying part to, I think, a lot, say almost everything.
Yeah, it's even just in our relationship with God. I feel, me personally, is I didn't do this today, so therefore I feel guilty. Therefore, I'm a bad person. Therefore, I'm not worthy. Therefore, like I'm not accepted.
Yep.
And it goes through that whole spiraling, even just of not doing a quiet time or anything else like that. Can you guys relate or not relate?
No, I think in our culture, I think mental health or taking self-care. Yeah, that's the big term.
That's the hot
self-care.
term, yeah.
Self-care has been looked down upon. I mean, if you go back to World War II, where you have the world's greatest generation coming back from sites that we'll hopefully never have to see again, and basically just saying, man up. That generation raised our fathers.
Yeah.
And then our fathers had that hardcore upbringing to bringing our generation up. And then I think we try to see, like, for example, I mean, I love my parents, love my father, but sometimes, beating my ass over eating all the Girl Scout cookies probably wasn't the best answer, for
right.
A reason. So we try to then offset that parenting. Like me, I'm probably too much of a pushover, but we try to offset that. So, but as far as self-care, it was always man up. You can take care of it, get over it, or push through it. That was the type of advice we'd always get. So, being able to actually find a confidant, if it's in a counselor or a friend or whatever, that you can actually trust to unload yourself. And we're just not used to that. Our generation doesn't accept it. So
now I'm going to use my 3 credits shy of a minor of psychology to
dime store psychology.
Right. So I'm the counselor now, but like, does that like drive who you are? I mean, I think that does drive who you are today, of that man up, like push through.
Well, no, my brokenness does drive me.
Yeah.
I can see that, but I've also had to go to counseling to work through how to healthy version of harnessing that pain and suffering. For me personally, like I've gone through a lot in my life. In my 43 years on this earth, I've gone through a lot. Yeah. Sexual trauma as a child, cancer, being just a general all around dirtbag for most of my life. I mean, these are things that I've had to go through, and a lot of that has led to personal. I've turned that pain into trying to be a better version of myself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I've had to go to counseling to learn how to utilize that in a form of like ultimate surrender and forgiveness to harness that as a beneficial thing. Yeah. Too, But I mean, my parents. I mean, I love my parents, but what advice can they give me how to flip the script? They can't. My mom's advice was give it to Jesus.
Your treasure chest.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So having a counselor being able to listen to everything, interpret it, put it through their little Google translator in their brain, and then actually come out with some like potent advice, like, all right, this is what you got to do.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah, I think exactly. We all wear a mask. We've all got those wounds, that shadow side, and that is where all of us live most of our time. And I think what good therapy can do is it can take that shadow side, it can take that mask, and it can flip it on its head and reframe it, and build on those strengths that are in that. Because there's always some strengths in that. We all adapt and find some ways to survive through our pain. Flip that on its lid and use that to motivate the change. I think that's part of the art of therapy, is helping people see like, oh, you did really well to survive this. Now, how do we capitalize this and flip it into the life you want it to be?
Let's say, I think that's where I think counseling can come into beneficial, or be a net benefit for a person. Because see, my personality is I'm having a very addictive personality. And my addiction is finding my identity in the things that I can accomplish. Okay, and it's not necessarily on a personal level, like being the best father, like making sure I'm at my kids everything, and making sure I sign them up for something that way they have 6 days a week full of karate, soccer, ballet, whatever. Playing the recorder. I mean, I don't find that. I find my identity in being successful in business, because I've always been told that I would never make it, type of thing, or I would never be able to do this. So I need a counselor / confidant, which is my wife, to help equalize me, to help say, no, look, there's more to life than this, and I think there's a lot of people out there like that. And there's also a lot of people out there on the reverse side who can't find that strength or even energy to get out of their house to actually be a motivating force in their own life to get out there and actually do something with their life. So, I mean, you kind of need a counselor to help let them know that they're not, that whatever's happening in their life does not define them. Just like whatever happened in my life has not defined me. It's just a part of my life.
One of the things I like what you said is we've all been through junk in our lives. How do we use that junk to be a positive instead of just focusing on the negative? And you've already done some of the hard work because you've survived those things. Use that to make it a positive, which in the end run may be easier than having to survive all those years of trauma that you've been through. So harnessing that and pushing forward. So we hear a lot. Producer Ryan, do you have anything you want to add, or do you want Nathan to give you a free session on the show, just for fun?
I don't need counseling.
Okay, all right. Moving
on. I'm a man.
Man up.
No, so you talk about the age group you tend to work with. I think about I'm almost 40. I didn't know who I was till I was 27 years old. Like there was this huge trying to figure out, why am I here? What am I supposed to this who I am thing. And counseling was not something's wrong.
Yeah,
sure. And that's just, I don't know. That's just, I guess, the environment. I'm not even going to blame my parents on that. It's just that was the climate.
Yep.
That all of us probably grew up in. Was
Absolutely.
And now it's, self-care is cool, So take that day off if you need to. I wasn't raised that way.
I never hear that. But.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what, like, the younger generation,
Yeah.
that's what's cool, or that's what's popular now, is to take care of yourself. So,
and honestly, if they have any problem, self-care is their life, and actually like doing something. That's the question,
right?
That's the question of for them. And so I think that is that's part of the tension. Is there at some point that did flip, and self-care is the under 27 set is all about self-care. Their life is self-care, and but they really struggle to conceptualize any sort of productive, meaningful. The term imposter syndrome's gotten popular the last few years. I don't have a client under 30 who doesn't like preach their imposter syndrome from the mountaintop. Like, they all feel like frauds. They all feel like everyone else has got it figured out but them. And so there's so much time, and I think a lot of that's social media. And I'm not one to like throw social media under the bus, but the number of people that come in and struggle with the perfection of everybody else's life is high.
Well, I think everyone expects that at some point you figure it out.
Yep.
And I would ask, does anyone here think they've got it figured out yet?
Absolutely
right?
not.
Like,
hell, there's days
right?
I don't even feel like a man. Like, I feel like a boy.
So you think about
trying to walk in my dad's
you
shoes.
think about your parents, where your parents were at 40, and like, oh, he knew what he was doing, right? He didn't know what he was doing.
Oh, my dad.
Right?
Look. I still dress. like I feel like I'm in a punk music video some days. I mean, when I go to work. But like my dad at 43 was, he had his set of clothes and he had his breath mints he put in his pocket and he wore a handkerchief. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to do those adult things. Sometimes I don't feel like an adult at 43.
Right.
Mm. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who feels like that. I know I'm not. I mean, but like I struggle to call myself a man sometimes. I still want to call myself a boy just because I don't feel like I do the man things that my dad did or my grandfather did.
Just because you're successful in something doesn't mean you know what you're doing or have it figured out.
Fake it till you make
life
it.
figured out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope not, because that's what I'm banking on. So.
I just pretend. Yeah.
I think that's a great secret of adulthood that nobody says out loud, at least not till later, which is that everybody's pretending. Everybody's trying to fake their way through it. And that was exactly what you said, Brian, about that realization when you hit a certain age and you look at a picture and you're like, oh, that's how old my parents were. Did they feel this lost and this making it up on the spot? Probably.
Yeah, I have kids. I'm not mature enough to have kids at 30.
Yeah. I still want to know if should I carry a handkerchief?
Yeah, my dad does. And by the way, sometimes when we're out, I'm like, can I borrow your handkerchief?
But
that's so gross.
It is a little
right?
But
come on, guys.
But should I carry one? That's no one can answer this question. I've asked Google this, and I cannot get an answer.
What does it say? There's nothing.
Sorry, can I reply at this moment? Yeah, I mean,
as long as it doesn't have any colors on it, you're probably okay, right?
No, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. But
cool
my dad carried one.
Yeah, my dad had a handkerchief.
My dad, and probably up until he's probably 50, carried one of those little coin organizers too. It was like a little squishy thing to put your coins in.
I remember like being passed the handkerchief to use it, and like
Krusties.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Ooh,
think about it now.
But you know what?
I feel a little sick now.
You're thankful. You're thankful for a crunchy handkerchief when you got to blow your nose. You're thankful for that.
Yeah. It was never my idea to blow my nose.
But also, not only that though, you had a that's true. You had a crunchy handkerchief just in case you by accident, like you got hit by one of your pet companions in the carotid artery and started bleeding out. You had a handkerchief there.
Right. That's a survival tool.
Did your dad have a handkerchief?
No, he did construction. I guess it was like the farmer blow. I don't really know.
Oh yeah,
we had a sleeve.
Yeah,
so that was all good.
So. Here's a question. So if self-care is more mainstream now for the younger culture, why are they so jacked up?
Because self-care by itself doesn't do anything.
But is self-care a hashtag for social media, though? Because, I mean, everyone has that, our generation has the Facebook life. My kids or my daughter, it's all about Instagram and TikTok life, as far as that presentation. I mean, is self-care just more just simply just a social hashtag to feel like you're part of the group?
Yeah, I don't think most people have any idea what their version of self-care looks like. I think that's honestly part of my therapy process with almost everybody, if they stick around long enough, is how do you, because the point of therapy, if I do my job well, I work myself out of a job. Mm-hmm. And so part of keeping them away from me is a self-care regimen that maintains our progress. And it is hard for people to figure out how they recharge their batteries. It is, and I think that goes back to the shame idea, this feeling, especially for parents, but it's something everybody struggles with, feeling like I'm allowed to take time for myself.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It's a huge struggle. And then Instagram, we look and we see how other people are taking care of themselves, and so we just replicate that, and we think it works. But so I think part of it is that people don't know what is helpful for them. I think the other part for the younger crowd is not to sound patronizing and old, but they don't have anything to rest from necessarily yet. They're just resting to rest. Or they're unplugging to
what have
unplug.
you done? Right?
Yeah, I think that's part of rest is you have to be tired for it to really be meaningful. So I don't know. It's loaded.
Yeah. Nathan Evans, how do people get in contact with you for Rocky River Counseling?
Can text or call 704-966-7988, or I've got an email, nathan@rockyrivercounseling.com. Also a website. Read about me at rockyrivercounseling.com. Those are the 3 fastest ways to track me down.
Any last parting words that you want to tell our listeners?
No,
give it to Jesus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, come and we can do a treasure chest to Jesus.
That's the show title.
Yeah, there you go. Mental health is one of those things that I think all of us can benefit from having somebody in our life who we can be transparent with, and who can we can say that we're a screw up to, and they can help us see the best version of ourselves even on the days we can't. So yeah, I appreciate being here, and it's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir, for coming on the show. One last question. This is a big one. If you were a spirit, you know how you have spirit animals.
Oh, of course.
What's your spirit food? We haven't done that question in a while.
Throwback.
I almost has to be tacos. Tacos are an infinite food for me. We have got there's a family-owned taco spot in the gas station by our house. Ooh. If you're in Concord, it's a corner of
Roberts.
Corner of Pitt School and Weddington, and family-owned. They crush it. It is I either get 2 asada and 2 chorizo tacos, or I'll get the campechano burrito, which is asada and chorizo mixed, hold the onions because it's too much, and it's homemade sauces, and they're friendly, and it's so tacos, Mexican food in general.
Yeah, for a minute I thought you would say that someone in your family owned a taco stand.
I wish.
I was like, wait
so
a minute.
What
do I not know here?
Yeah, no. So tacos are it could be a daily food.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up our episode.
Yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in as you do every week. If you can, please go to our Facebook page at Southern Fried Philosophy, also our website at southernfriedphilosophy.com. You have those playable links there. If you can, wherever you listen to your podcast, just go there and give first off, listen.
Check.
Second is subscribe.
Check.
Give us a rating, a review. That's how we move up in the old podcast algorithms and world and do our slow takeover in the Southern Fried Comedy section of the podcast world. Also, I'd like to congratulate a heart buddy. There's a guy named Andrew who's getting his heart transplant as we speak.
Wow.
I think it's pretty cool. So as that reminder, I would appreciate if you guys, if you haven't filled out your donor or organ cards, just go sign up. First, sign up as an organ donor. Second, become a registered voter, just in case you haven't. And, we appreciate that.
Speaking about reviews, let's go ahead and read the last one that we got on Apple Podcasts. So please leave a review so we can kind of move this one down the list. We got a 5-star, by the way.
Hey.
Sergeant Cantley said on the episode, Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Some inspiring words. Not sure why I like this podcast, but I do.
That's almost gospel.
That's glowing praise right there.
Right, I love it.
That's Oscar worthy.
I mean,
Nobel Prize.
We should be getting it.
That's
any day
pure entertainment, guys. Think about that.
And for free.
We don't even charge you. Again, sign up to be an SFP Insider. We've got some cool stuff going on. Again, thank you to Leanne Whitley for being our latest Patreon subscriber. Also, guys, we've got some amazing stuff coming up for the show. I'm really excited about it. So just keep listening. We'll be able to report that shortly. So again, thanks again for tuning in. And as always, keep looking up. You're listening to the SFP Radio Network.